What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics. We got a 10-song artist spotlight for The Fifth Dimension, featured for the first time on this channel, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Dubh. Thank you, Dubh. Always appreciate you and the interesting stuff that you bring us. If you'd like to support us in any way, as Dubh does, please check out the Patreon link below. The Patreon link on the end screen. The patrons make this thing go. All right, let's jump into this. Dubh provided a wonderful biography of the Fifth Dimension and some info on them, so let's dive into it. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Fifth Dimension were a very successful crossover pop vocal act, eventually racking up 20 Billboard Top 40 hits, notching 2 Grammy Awards for Record of the Year. That's the big one, guys. The Fifth Dimension combined elements of pop, R&B, soul, jazz, and even Broadway into their versatile performances. The group's vocal leads and harmonies were much admired, but in my opinion, a big reason for the recording's continued impact has to do with the excellent Bones Howe production and engineering and instrumental backing by members of the Wrecking Crew. Those are two powerhouses. I'm more familiar with Bones Howe from running the Tom Waits discography. He did a lot of stuff with Waits early on. At that time, the Wrecking Crew provided backing and replacement instrumentation for many bands recorded in Los Angeles whose own musicianship skills were not deemed of a professional level by the producer. In the case of the Fifth Dimension, there were no backing musicians for the vocal group, so the Wrecking Crew became their de facto accompanists and instrumental arrangers. The contributions of the rhythm section consisted of Joe Osborne on bass, the great Hal Blaine on drums, and Larry Bunker on percussion are particularly great. Listen for Hal Blaine's hyperkinetic drumming on Winds of Heaven and Dimension 5, and Joe Osborne's bass playing on Winds of Heaven, Light Sings, and Let the Sun Shine In. Both vocal and instrumental ensemble performances on Black Patch, Aquarius, and the pop fusion number Dimension 5 are uniformly excellent. Magic was made. The Fifth Dimension did not write their own songs, and so albums featured material from a range of popular composers of the day, including Neil Sedaka, Paul Anka, Harry Nilsson, Bacharach, and David and Ashford and Simpson. That's quite the lineup there. Their second album, Magic Garden, was almost entirely written by Jimmy Webb, who had enjoyed his first top 10 hit when the Fifth Dimension earlier released his Up, Up, and Away. Dubh says, I personally find their recordings of Laura Nero's songs to be the iconic versions, as much as I love Nero's own renditions of the song, so I included 3 Nero tracks in this playlist. Originally known for their intricate 5-part harmonies, Industry Pressures changed their style as time went on. Increasing demands from the producer and record company to arrange singles around lead vocalists, particularly Marilyn McCoo, produced friction in the group, and McCoo and husband Billy Davis Jr. left in 1975 to work on collaborative and individual projects. That essentially ended the golden era of the Fifth Dimension. For better or worse, they can be given credit for helping to invent the music genre we now call adult contemporary, but I prefer their earlier 1960s recordings. Those tracks were funkier, hipper, and certainly more psychedelic than much of the schmaltzy sounding ballads of the mid-70s and beyond. I found a little bit. They were formed as the Versatiles in late 1965, changed their name to the Fifth Dimension by 66. Their 2 songs that won Record of the Year were Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In, and Up, Up, and Away. The 5 original members were Lamont McLemore, Merrill McCoo, Florence LaRue, Ronald Townsend, and Billy Davis Jr. The earliest recordings were on the Soul City record label, which was started by recording artist Johnny Rivers, later recorded for Bell/Arista Records, ABC Records, and Motown. He was also notable for having more success with the songs of Laura Nero, as Dubh was talking about, than Nero did herself. The Fifth Dimension's producer, Bones Howe, used Bob Alcavars as the singer's vocal arranger, as well as instrumental backing by the Wrecking Crew for their recording sessions. So I don't know anything about the Fifth Dimension. I know the name, right? But I know a couple of these songs. I know one of these songs at least, but I probably know more when I hear. The only thing I know about Marilyn McCoo is she was the host, one of the hosts of Solid Gold, the TV show that was on the late 70s and early 80s. So if you're my age, you remember that, man. It was must-see TV for us. It was on Saturday afternoon. So the music will not be in the video, but it will be in a link below. I'll have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Dubh. And you see, we're going to start this off with The Winds of Heaven, written by Bob Doru and Fran Landison from the Age of Aquarius album in 1969. It was their 4th album. It went to number 2 in the U.S. and was their most successful album for obvious reasons, the Aquarius, which we may or may not get to later. I'll leave the suspense up. Remember, this isn't necessarily a top 10. It's not counted down 10 to 1 like a lot of our countdowns. It's just an artist spotlight. Dubh has given us a smattering, 10 selections from the Fifth Dimension. All right, let's check it out. The Winds of Heaven. What a way to start that. Those 5-part harmonies. Just exactly what I expected once I knew the Wrecking Crew was on here. Just fantastic arrangement, backing vocals here. As Cat Dubh pointed out at the beginning, this is one of the songs he pointed out for Hal Blaine's drumming and Joe Osborne's bass. So those were fantastic. I think with a lot of these songs, the lyrics, guys, I say this all the time in the 60s, even though our greatest lyricist of all time, in my opinion, is Dylan, and then McCartney and Lennon can go in that short list. We're all in the 60s, obviously, but most 60s songs, it's more about this, right? What does it sound like? What's the vocal performance like? It's not necessarily the lyrics. And I mean, this song, there's not a lot of lyrics to it. The winds of heaven can only blow the door shut. I could keep you here for a little while if it only blow the light out. In the friendly dark, you begin to smile. If it only blow you my way, I would hold you close for a little while. So you kind of get it, what it's about. But great harmonies on that. Enjoyed that. Never heard that song. Now we're going to go to Wedding Bell Blues. This is one of the Laura Nyro written songs. Lead vocals by Marilyn McCoo off the same album, The Age of Aquarius, in 1969. I found that the lyrics are written from the perspective of a woman whose boyfriend has not yet proposed to her and who wonders, quote, "Am I ever going to see my wedding day?" The song carries dual themes of adoring love and frustrated lament. The title subsequently became a popular phrase in American culture. Nyro wrote it at the age of 18 as a mini-suite. It was recorded in 1966 for Verve Folkways on her debut album, More Than a New Discovery. Arranger Herb Bernstein did not allow Nyro to record her original arrangement, which led the artist more or less to disown the entire album. The song only went to 103 on the charts. The Fifth Dimension had already found hits with Nyro's Stone Soul Picnic and Sweet Blindness during 1968. When recording tracks for this album, Bones Howe, the producer, suggested they try recording another Laura song. Fifth Dimension member Marilyn McCoo was then engaged to another member of the group, Billy Davis Jr., though they had not decided on an actual wedding date. When a disc jockey in San Diego began playing Wedding Bell Blues from the album, Soul City Records saw the song's potential, and in September '69, it was released as a single. I say this before, back when disc jockeys, man, had a lot of power. It quickly soared to number 1 on the U.S. charts, top 5 in Canada, and placed in the top 20 on the UK singles chart. And their only hit there, except for the earlier Aquarius, What the Love Shine In. Morrissey, of all people, released a version of this song in 2019. Marilyn's got them Wedding Bell Blues. It's interesting, she ends up marrying Billy, so she's singing to Bill in the group, but the name is Bill, and I went back and looked, I'm like, did they at least change that? But no, Laura Nyro was singing to a Bill as well. So great harmonies in there. You feel Marilyn's power. The arrangement was fantastic. That was the star for me. I think, the brass section, all of it is just so tight. And luckily, Cat Dubh told us who was doing some of the stuff. But, there's no instrumentation credits on here, as most of the time was the case when the Wrecking Crew was involved. Although the Beach Boys did put them on the liner notes many times when they worked with them. Next up, Working on a Groovy Thing, written by Neil Sedaka and Roger Atkins. Originally recorded by Patty Drew on her 1968 album, Working on a Groovy Thing, that reached number 62 on the Billboard Hot 100, 86 in Canada. The Fifth Dimension topped that. Went to 20 in the US and 17 in Canada. Working on a Groovy Thing. Florence and Marilyn vocals are really showcased on here, but that 5-part harmony is fantastic here. She's just saying how much she's in love with this guy, right? Let's take it slow, but they're working on a groovy thing. Save your kisses for him because his are the best ever. That kind of a song. Once again, man, I don't want to be a broken record here, but I am, and I probably will continue to be because we're only 3 songs in. The arrangement on here and the Wrecking Crew in the background is fantastic, but the vocals, incredibly catchy, really, really good. Now we're up to, see what I did there? Up, Up and Away, written by Jimmy Webb, from the album Up, Up and Away 1967, their debut album. It was their 3rd release. It launched both the group and the song's writer, Jimmy Webb, into superstardom, like the song was the 3rd release. The group and the song amassed a total of 5 different Grammy Awards between them in 1967. Many different artists have since recorded versions of the song. 7 in the US, 1 in Canada and Australia. In 1999, Webb's song placed 43 on BMI's top 100 songs of the century. It cleaned up at the Grammys, as I said. It won Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals, Best Performance by a Vocal Group, Best Performance by a Chorus, and Best Contemporary Song. The instrumental backing was, of course, by the Wrecking Crew, including Al Casey. Trumpeter Tony Tarrant also on this one. Up, Up and Away, just a fantastic song, man. Everything about it works. I knew the intro. I knew the chorus. I don't think I've ever heard the whole song, but it's one of those songs you know the second you hear it. I thought I might have heard it before just with those kind of accolades. Even though I wasn't alive yet, those are quite the accolades. I think the 5-part harmonies are fantastic. And obviously, once again, the Wrecking Crew really adds a lot to this song. Trumpeter Tony Tarrant in particular. But yeah, just a really, really good song. You know, the lyrics is, would you like to ride in my beautiful balloon? We could float among the stars, you and I, for we can fly up, up and away, my beautiful balloon. World's nicer in the beautiful balloon. So do you want to go up and get away from this? The beautiful balloon can be literal or it can be figuratively. Come with me, come fly with me, and we will get away from everyone. But it says the song was inspired by Hot Air Balloon Flown by Jimmy's friend, the guy who wrote the song, William F. Williams. So Jimmy Webb was inspired by that, and you get this masterpiece. Next up, boys and girls, let's get some Love and Stew, written by Jules Alexander and Jeff Comenor from the Stoned Soul Picnic album in 1968, their third album. Love and Stew, a song that they make work despite the lyrics being not real good, right? Real corny. This person's gone and they're singing, they're in a restaurant, they're thinking about him, they go back home and just waiting on him and just thinking about him, and they're cooking up a bunch of that loving stew. But I think the ba-bum-bum, they got all kinds of things going on. The Wrecking Crew really helps them out here, the 5-part harmonies. So yeah, still a good song, even though the lyrics, they overcame that, which is the sign of a really good artist. All right, we're halfway through. Now we're going to go to Light Sings, written by Gary William Friedman and Will Holt, from the Loves, Lines, Angles, and Rhymes, their 6th album. 44 in the U.S., 22 in Canada. It was featured in the 1970 musical, The Me Nobody Knows. Okay, not much of this song lyrically, but maybe their best performance. So you had like dueling vocals, tri-vocals on here. The sorry part on this is I don't know who's singing what, and I can't find where they always just said they're all singing, obviously. The female vocals in there, and then, you know, the male vocals come in there really, really strong towards the end. And this seems like a song that could have been like in a 1970s movie. I'm not saying I heard it in a movie, but just where everything's going well, good, man. They go outside. I can see everybody dancing around. Just one of those songs that makes you feel good. Light sings all over the world. That's all they sing a lot. The night is gone. The light has come. A new day has begun. The kids start to shout. Brothers and sisters come out into the sun. Let me tell you that light sings. Yes, it do now all over the world. That's what they just keep singing at the end. But a really good tune there. Now we're going to go to an instrumental. Dimension 5, arranged by Bob Alcavar, their vocal arranger, from the Portrait album, their 5th album. Wow, Dimension 5. What a performance, right? I'm not going to lie, when I saw there's an instrumental on here, I just thought, that's an interesting choice, because the 5th Dimension don't play instruments, right? And started Spotlight for the 5th Dimension. But now I get it. I didn't doubt Cat Dubh. I mean, they know I don't, but wonderful, man. Because even though it's, quote, an instrumental, and the fact that officially it's an instrumental because there's no lyrics, the 5th Dimension's vocals on here are fantastic. Just the vocal run, da 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 da, as Cat Dubh called it, is a pop jazz fusion. The Wrecking Crew firing on all cylinders. It's the perfect mesh of vocals. It's a perfect mesh of vocal performance and instrumental performance. Just a great song. Now we go to Black Patch, another one of those Laura Nyro songs from Individually and Collectively in 1972, their 7th album. This song ends the album's features, each member taking lead on a part of a verse, including for the first time, Lamont Macklemore. Black Patch, just a cool song, right? With everybody trading off vocals on this one, but just the brass section in particular from the Wrecking Crew, last minute and a half in that coda were fantastic. But the song itself, I don't know, it's all just painting the picture, right? Of kind of a day in a city, right? That's kind of what it's doing here. Clothespins on wash ropes, window to window tie, socks and bells and nightgowns, tassels in the morning sky. People, are you ready? Woman, child on the side street, flashing in black patch, lipstick on her reefer, waiting for a match. So that's where you get the black patch coming in there. The harmonies are what were fantastic on here. There's the switching off of the lead vocals, but the harmonies were just fantastic. And this is where, once again, vocal arrangement along with instrumental arrangement are just a perfect marriage on this song. Next up, we got the last written song by Laura Nyro, Save the Country. Marilyn McCoo on lead vocals here from the Portrait album in 1970. It's first released by Laura as a single in 1968. She was inspired to write the song after the June 5th, 1968 assassination of Robert Kennedy. The Fifth Dimension's recording this one went to 27 in the U.S., 24 in Canada. The B-side of this single was Dimension 5. So you're getting your money's worth, boys and girls, if you bought this 45. Save the Country, only 2 minutes, 39 seconds, packing a lot of stuff in here. Kind of some allusions to baptism in the Bible. Come on, people, come on, children, come on down to the glory river. Going to wash you up and wash you down, going to weigh the devil down. Come on, people, come on, children. There's a king at the glory river, and the precious king. You love the people to sing. Babes in the blinking sun saying, we shall overcome. I got fury in my soul. Fury's going to take me to the glory goal. In my mind, I can't study war no more. Save the people, save the children, save the country. Just kind of revisits those things. Take that dream and ride that dove. We could build the dream with love, I know. Then she just revisits some of the fury in my soul, my mind. I can't study war no more, and finish that with save people, save the children, save the country. The very last line, save the country now. So she wrote this in 1968, but when I'm recording this in 2022, you could be singing this for the United States as well, because we have such great division in this country. Nothing like the tragedy of RFK's death, or Martin Luther King, who died in the same year in 1968. But really well-written song, well performed by the Fifth Dimension. And remember, this is a 10-song artist spotlight, so it's not a top 10 numbered 10 to 1. But could there be anything else that was played last, even knowing that? Aquarius / Let the Sun Shine in parentheses, The Flesh Failures, written by Galt McDermott, James Radow, and Jerome Ragney. It's a medley of 2 songs written for the 1967 musical Hair by James Radow and Jerome Ragney. Lyrics, and Galt McDermott wrote the music. Spent 6 weeks at number 1 in the U.S., certified platinum. Instrumental backing was written by Bill Holman and provided by, of course, the Wrecking Crew. 66 on Billboard's greatest songs of all time. Producer Bones House said the recording can be traced to an incident in which Fifth Dimension lead singer Billy Davis Jr., Marilyn's future husband, left his wallet in a New York City cab. The man who found the wallet was involved in the production of Hair and invited the group to see the show. After Bones said, after they'd seen it, I received a phone call in which they were all talking over one another saying, we've got to cut this song, Aquarius. It's the best thing ever. Hal was skeptical. He said, this isn't a complete song, it's an introduction. But after seeing the show on stage, got the idea to create a medley with another musical moment from the show, a few bars from the song, The Flesh Failures, that consist of the repeated words, let the sun shine in. Although the 2 song fragments are in different keys and tempos, Hal resolved to jam them together like 2 trains. The instrumental track was set to tape at Wally Heider's Studio 3 in Hollywood by the Wrecking Crew members, including Hal Blaine on drums, Joe Osborne on bass, Larry Netchell on keyboards, Tommy Tedesco and Dennis Budimir on guitars, and Tony Tarrant on trumpet. It also features strings, winds, and brass instrumentation. However, the vocals were recorded separately in Las Vegas, where the Fifth Dimension was performing at the time, using only 2 microphones for the 5 singers. Davis's solo during Let the Sun Shine In was improvised during the session. Songwriter Jimmy Webb, who happened into the studio during the recording, remarked to Hal, my God, that's a number 1 record. He wasn't wrong, was he? It won both the Grammy Award for Record of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Performance by a Group for the Grammys for 1970. All right, I know this song, obviously, and I would bet almost everybody watching, even if you're like me and didn't know the Fifth Dimension, know this one. All right, Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In. What a fantastic song, right? Everything had to work together on this, and even though they weren't at the studio at the same time, just everything about this song. The ladies on the first half of the song really get up in those high registers, and yeah, I mean, just fantastic, man. You know, Tony Tarrant on the trumpet was great on there. You know, it's hard to really single anybody out on here. The story behind the song I wouldn't really get into. It's a bunch of astrology stuff. If you buy into that stuff, more power to you. You would get all of this. Not my cup of tea, so to speak, but the song is fantastic. There's a reason why it's an all-time great. It transports you to a time and place. That's going to bring me to my favorite tracks on this Fifth Dimension Artist Spotlight. Honorable mention, we got the first song, The Winds of Heaven. We also got Light Sings. Faves, Up, Up, and Away. Dimension 5, the instrumental. Whoo! Black Patch, and of course, Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In. Let me know your favorites on here. Other Fifth Dimension stuff I should check out. Once again, want to thank Ann Cat Dubh. Like I said, I don't really know anything about the Fifth Dimension. Now I feel somewhat educated. That's why I love what the patrons bring. All right, guys, until next time, I will see you.